When you're performing a floor press, whether you're using a barbell, a kettlebell, or dumbbells, you will notice a significant increase in more lat activation if you're doing it right. And also it's going to help increase your bench press and your military press. So it is an excellent movement. Unfortunately, it's very underrated in the community. A lot of people tend not to use it just because you're not on a bench and it's sort of forgotten in a way. But today I'm going to talk about the floor press, how it relates to the rack. So let's say you want to use a barbell, which is an awesome tool for building that absolute strength, and you have a rig like this or a rack like this where you have pins, you have your bar set up. There's a lot of things that go into just getting set up first before you actually put the weight on the bar and perform the reps. So a lot of lifting, in my opinion, starts with that mindset and that focus on what is going on in your space before you get into this position. So what I see happen with a lot of students, specifically in the floor press, when they're using a bar, I'm going to demo this. The reason why I don't have weight on this is because I want you to actually see what's happening here. So a lot of students will set up this way, where they're directly underneath the bar because this is how they've been taught, and they get into their position and they get the bar off the rack, and then when they press, they hit the pins. Okay? When you hit the pins, it throws off your entire lift and it's unsafe. So the type of pin that you're looking for is something, ideally, something that is very low, meaning this doesn't have much of a lip, right? You can take the bar off here pretty easily. You'll see some racks though that the pins come out probably good 6 to 8 inches, and they also go up very high, which makes it increasingly difficult for those who are trying to learn how to bench press. So, and it also makes it difficult for when you're pressing the bar overhead. When you're on your back, you're going to hit these pins every single time. I see this happen in all types of populations, in all different gyms, because everybody has different racks that are built. So there's a very specific way that I go about this where I avoid these pins altogether. And this has everything to do with your setup, okay? So I'm gonna walk you through it. You noticed on the first round, what I did was I was directly under it. And when I'm directly under it, I am almost 100% sure I'm gonna hit these, okay? So I still wanna be able to move that bar and not have to worry about hitting these pins. So here's what I do, okay? The first thing is I always bring the bar all the way to the end, okay? So I don't start it here because if I lift that bar up, I have to travel 2 to 3 inches to clear this pin. So I want to let it all the way to the end right here, okay? I also want to make sure that I am even on both sides so that I am looking directly in the middle of this bar. That is extremely important and often overlooked in this aspect when you're bench pressing. So I want to make sure that from those pins, I have an even spacing on both sides of the bar. Once that's set, you'll notice what I do here, which is I scooch down to here. So now this bar is level to my eyes. Normally, I would be back here. So now this bar is now where my chin is, which is not helping me when I go into my press. So I move my body all the way down so that this bar is equal to my eyes, okay? Once I do that, then I establish my grip position, and this is where you should ideally have a spotter in this position, because no matter what, even if it's light, it's good to have a spotter. The bench press, there's a lot of things that can go wrong in the bench press as well as the floor press. So always err on the side of safety. Have someone spot you. I just have a bar here, so I don't need one right now. But if I did have weight, I would get somebody to spot me. So now that I have this position where my eyes are, I set my grip position now. Okay, making sure that bar is all the way on the end. And if I need to, I'll lift my hips to get the bar off the rack. And now notice what happens. When I get the bar off the rack, the bar stays above my eyes. So I don't take the bar off the rack and then bring it all the way down here to where my chest is. Okay? So this is my first position. I set the bar to the edge of the pins. Number 2, I bring the bar equal to where my eyes are. Number 3, I get my grip position. I take the bar off the rack and I let that bar sit right over my eyes. Now, once I'm ready for my floor press, I roll the bar down, pause, and then watch how I bring it up. I row it back up, and then I finish it with my triceps back over the eye position. So I roll it down, drive with the triceps. Notice where the bar finishes, it's over the eyes. And notice I'm not hitting the pins. I'm not even close to the pins. Now, I'm gonna do it the wrong way now. So if I go all the way under the bar, like you see normally, which is here, and I do all the same things that I told you to do, I take the bar off. Now, I press. I have a very high probability that I'm going to hit these pins. And these pins are very low. They don't come up high or come out far. If they did, I would 100% hit those pins every single time. I've seen athletes, I've seen professionals, I've seen students take a lot of weight off this bar, and the first thing that happens is they hit these pins right away. If that happens to you, you must re-rack that bar. Do not continue your lift, okay? It's already, the rep is over, it's finished, re-rack it, walk out of the bench, and reset, come back to normal. You gotta have to regroup after that, okay? So, keep this in mind. So if you are purchasing a rack, this is the first thing that I looked for when I bought a rack was how far out are these pins and how low is it? Because I don't want there even to be a remote possibility of me hitting these pins and having my student that I train hit these pins. But I think when it comes to the floor press, if you set up this way, like I told you, and even when you go into bench pressing, now you know you're never gonna even come close to these pins, okay? The other thing is, if you go into your press and you actually touch this, so I'm gonna give you an example. I see this often as well. So let's say I'm here, I get the bar off. Let's say I go into my press and then I bring it to here. You don't wanna touch the rack ever, because the minute you touch that rack, you start losing tension in your body, and to your body, that means the rep's over. So if that happens, rack it, walk off the bench, and then regroup and come back to it again. It's not worth it. So when you're pressing, just like a bench press, you shouldn't be touching any part of this rack at all until you actually are finished and you throw that bar back into that rack position. Now, the other thing that I see, because of that poor setup position, you'll see a lot of students, when they get their set in their position and they push the bar off the rack, they look at the pins to make sure they're not gonna hit it. But what happens when I look? My body rotates. Again, the last thing you wanna do in a bench press is rotate. So if you set up the correct way, you will have no need to look right, left to make sure you're clearing these pins, because your setup is correct, okay? So hopefully this video helps you when it comes to using the bar in the rack position, which I highly encourage you to do and try. If you do it, you're gonna rehearse this over and over and over again using just the bar, no weight. Just get used to the bar, get used to that setup position, get used to rolling the bar to the edge, get your grip position, follow those concepts, and then practice. Once you feel comfortable, load it with some light weight and then start. And as you start doing this more and more, you're gonna get more comfortable with that setup position. This is also gonna help you when you travel and you go to different gyms or you're training with your friends or colleagues. And the first thing I want you to do, and the first thing every lifter should do, is when you're bench pressing or floor pressing, always look to make sure what kind of pins they have in the rack, okay? So you get an idea of how far out I need to be. You kind of take an assessment and you observe to see, all right, what's this rack look like? What's the bench look like? What's the floor look like? What am I laying on? All of these things matter when it comes to doing the floor press.